There's been some last minute changes with the inauguration on Monday. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Biden's legacy and these nomination or confirmation hearings. To help me go through that, I have Sarah Gonzalez. Sarah, thank you for joining me again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's always a lot of fun.
So just some background. Sarah is a journalist for The Blaze, as well as the host of the Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered Show. She gives incredible insight. I'm going to put a link to her show down below. So just before going on, I'm reading that now they're thinking about having the majority of Trump's inauguration ceremony indoor in the rotunda, similar to what they did with Ronald Reagan. I'm reading that this could be a throwback to Ronald Reagan. I'm reading that this could be because of death threats on the president's life. I'm also reading that this could be due to a weather storm coming in. Any thoughts on them changing this last minute?
Yes, I am really glad that they did. I understand the tradition, but from what I've been hearing from my contacts that I have, there very much are outside threats that they are concerned that they will not have the ability to patrol being outdoors and leaving them vulnerable to all sorts of security threats. So I am very glad that they're taking this precaution, considering the guy has been, there were 2 assassination attempts, not just 1, but 2 leading up to the election. So I'm glad that they're doing it. I also think that it will be helpful. I mean, come on, if you are a spectator and you booked your travel and you booked your hotel and you're spending the money and you're going down there and then you find out that it is going to be like subarctic temperatures, not just normal DC coldness, but like just disgustingly cold weather. You got to imagine that you're like, okay, I wasn't going to be able to see anything anyway. We're still going to be able to be there. I did read that Donald Trump is going to come over to the Capital One Arena where they're having the viewing party. He is supposed to go over there and see those people. So you got to believe that these people that are going to be there are probably not too upset that they don't have to stand out there in the cold all day long to not even be able to see. But in any event, I'm glad that they are taking Donald Trump's safety. They're prioritizing that and taking it seriously. And, God willing, nothing bad happens now that they have moved it.
Yeah. Did you see that there were 2, I don't know if you would call them assassination attempts, but credible death threats on the day of Jimmy Carter's funeral? The FBI, they were quiet about it for about 3 or 4 days. And then it leaked that, somebody came in with like knives and somebody else was planning to drive their car into a crowd of people and make their way into the Capitol. So I have to believe that this is a security thing. I have to believe it's also, these really cold temperatures. I just hope and pray that this isn't like an audible that they're throwing last minute and the FBI is going to have planted people in the rotunda to do something. We now find out that there were at least 26 that they're willing to admit to that were in the crowd on January 6th 4 years ago. So, but I'm hoping everything goes off without a hitch. It should be a beautiful day. What is the energy in your part of America down there in Texas? I can tell you that where I live, there is like optimism in the air about the country, about religion, about the economy, about just the direction of the country, getting these wars ended. What's the feeling down there in Texas?
It's the same. It's the same. The energy is palpable. I mean, you can feel it in the air. And it's the same energy that we felt the day after the election. It's just like a temperature change. And everyone really started feeling good about living in this country again. And everyone's excited. Everyone is ready to get going. I mean, I just taped my show here, Stephen, and I was talking to my panelists here in studio. And I mean, it was just smiles on all of our faces. I said, guys, when we come back, Donald Trump is going to be our president. When the next show that I do, I can say President Donald Trump is the 47th president currently of the United States. And it was almost like we were giggling. It was just so a feeling of elation that finally these 4 years that have just been just awful for all of America in so many ways, especially for, by the way, for the Democrats as well. I know they like to think that Joe Biden is so great, but I mean, they're going to see total devastation if they haven't already from all of these illegals that he has let in record numbers. And so even if they haven't really felt it yet, it's devastating consequences for everybody in this country, not just Republicans. And so to have Donald Trump coming in, I wear my Trump hat. I try to wear it as often as I can to as many places as possible. And the overall feedback is overwhelmingly positive. So I think everyone is really excited. They see the writing on the wall with the direction that this country is headed, and they are just ready for the change that Donald Trump is going to bring.
Yes. Oh, so exciting. Okay. We just had a really positive segment. I don't want to cast a negative shadow on this show, but I have to, I mean, your own, The Blaze is the one that announced this. The Oklahoma National Guard was selected to go to the Horn of Africa to build infrastructure. There will be between 2,000 to 3,000 men and women in uniform using taxpayer money to go build Africa. Why are they not sending these 3,000 men and women to North Carolina or to Maui, Hawaii, or even California? Why use taxpayer money to send Americans in uniform to build Africa, but not to rebuild America?
Yeah, especially you said it's Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yep.
Especially because when you consider Oklahoma, I'm friends with the Oklahoma State Superintendent, Ryan Walters, over there. And we were having a conversation and he told me that every single county, there's like 70 something counties in Oklahoma, every single county overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump in this last presidential election. And you have the governor there, Governor Stitt, and he seems to be really conservative on some issues. And you go, wow, this guy really gets it. And then he's made some questionable moves that I haven't quite understood, such as this one that you're talking about right now. Why in the world would you do that when we have Americans that need help? You mentioned North Carolina. How about all of the Americans in California who have just lost their homes, totally devastated? And so he's made another one recently with regard to green energy that I thought was very strange. And so I don't know what's going on in Oklahoma, but certainly you would think that the people of Oklahoma would want their tax money. The people of this country would want their tax money. If you're going to tax me to death, at least make sure that it goes to my own people, right? I mean, that's like, if you're going to tax me, at least use it towards, this is what I said whenever we were learning about what was happening in North Carolina. And we were learning that FEMA was nowhere to be found, and you see the FEMA tents that were popped up and they were just for the FEMA employees rather than the people who lost everything and didn't have a home to go to. And so you look at all this and it's like, I would never love being taxed because I do firmly believe that taxation is theft, but it's just such a more disgusting feeling in the pit of your stomach, knowing that you are robbing me of nearly, 40% of my money. And you're not even giving it to the people that need it the most in this country. And that the betrayal of that is just something like nothing else, right? The betrayal of knowing you're stealing my money from me and you're not even keeping it in America. You're sending it to Africa. That is really a betrayal.
Yeah. I agree. When I read that, I was like, why? I mean, I had Colonel Douglas McGregor on right after the hurricane in North Carolina. And he was like, within so many miles of the area, there's all these military bases. And yet Biden didn't dispatch any of the men and women in uniform that are in reserves, that are literally on bases waiting for America to go to war or be attacked. And they didn't dispatch them. And then to read like, wait a minute, we're going to send 3,000 people on taxpayer money to build Africa. Why not rebuild America? It doesn't make any sense to me. This is such an America last administration. I don't know if this was like from the Pentagon down, and because the way that it's written is that they were chosen to be the ones to go. So I didn't know if this was the governor himself chose this, or if the Pentagon chose this, but either way, more of our tax money going to foreign nations and not enough going towards helping our own brothers and sisters here in America.
Yeah. It's certainly what I mean. That would make a lot of sense that the Pentagon would be making those decisions, because that is, as you pointed out, that has been the policy for the last 4 years. Is just America last. We've seen our money being funneled over to Ukraine. We've seen our money funding both sides of the conflict when it comes to Israel and Iran. I mean, we've seen our money get more money of ours has been funneled out of our country than we're receiving back. So I mean, again, this is one of the reasons that people are just, we're all smiling, we're all happy, we're all cheerful. There's so much. I know Kamala Harris claimed that she ran a campaign of joy. However, Stephen, I will tell you, I never saw that joy. And instead, this was the real campaign of joy that you saw with Donald Trump. And after he got elected, is like, people are just, they're happy again. They're excited again. And this is one of many reasons why you have the Department of Government Efficiency that he has, Doge, that he has with, Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy coming in and trying to root out all of the inefficient processes. And I think people are really excited about that. It's about darn time.
Yeah. The only aspect of joy for Kamala Harris was she ran the campaign of Joy Reid on MSNBC and Joy Behar over on The View. As long as those two were happy, then she was going to win the election. But the American people, they have chosen, there is a mandate, get us out of war, lower the cost of gas and food, make life affordable, make us safe. I don't know if you saw this or not, but I saw a video in Eagle Pass, Texas, where large numbers of illegal immigrants are crossing the border, only they're going back to Mexico. So is this mass deportation that Trump and Tom Holman want to execute? Is it actually going to be self-mass deportation?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I think last time I was with you, Stephen, we were talking about the concept of self-deportation and how many of these people would just self-deport once you pull the funding from them, once they're not getting, a debit card for food, once they're not getting free housing, once their lives are made extremely difficult because we have an administration who has come in and said, you're not getting freebies from us anymore. In fact, you shouldn't even be here. So your days are numbered. And when we find you, you're gone. And so I think that there is a certain level of people who go, okay, that I don't, you know what? I'm just going to go. This is not going to end well for me. And I'm just going to go home. And I say to them, good, great. Please continue doing that, because it's not going to be pretty for you when Tom Holman brings his guys up in there to physically remove you. And so however it happens, you know what? I'll give them that free pass. Okay. You want to go, you don't want to have Tom Holman, round you up and make sure to send you back to the other side of the border. That's fine. You get to leave on your own terms as long as you go.
Yeah. Can you imagine being an illegal immigrant in New York and you're like, okay, I'm getting $21,000 a month of housing in a upscale posh hotel, $10,000 a month in food stamps, plus free meals, clothing, my kids are being taken care of. You add that all up, it's about $35,000 a month. A lot of Americans don't make $35,000 a year. They're getting this a month, and now you remove that carrot, and people go, oh wait, I have to be homeless with the crazy people that are killing people on the subway. Yeah, I'll just head back to Guatemala. I'll just head back to Venezuela. Like, you remove the incentive and the silk-lined pillow from their head, and they will just send themselves back home.
Which is I'm so glad that you said that, because that in and of itself tells you all you need to know about these people who, because most of them are abusing the asylum seeking process. They are trying to claim that they need asylum because their conditions, they're going to get killed if they go back to where they came from. And that right there shows you that this whole system was being abused. These people have been abusing the asylum process for a very, very long time now. And that just goes to show you, if the benefits that we have given you end and you decide to go back home, you are not an asylum seeker in the first place, because the asylum seekers go, no, I actually, this is uncomfortable for me, but I really need to stay here because I'm going to be killed. Something really terrible is going to happen to me. Not just, yeah, I mean, it's nicer in America and I kind of like having free stuff, right? So, I mean, that in of itself tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. And I like how the mainstream media, Democrat leaders, they're like, do you know how expensive it's going to be to do a mass deportation? Like, really not that bad. Hey, Google Flights, how much does it cost to fly to Venezuela one way, right? Like, it's not going to be that bad. And yet they've got to go home. And then guess what? You can sign up to come back in legally, and they should work on immigration reform. We're a nation of immigrants, but we cannot be a nation of illegal immigrants. But I'm watching this video of Eagle Pass, Texas, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They're crossing into Mexico. They're not crossing into America.
That's really, really fun. I haven't seen that video. I would love to see it. That's great. Hey, right direction. But have you noticed, I'm sure you have, Stephen, how many different events have been happening since Donald Trump got elected? The man is not even in office yet. And you already have, he made the threat to Hamas that if the hostages are not returned on Monday, there will be hell to pay. I mean, just him talking. You had Justin Trudeau resigning. I mean, you have Eric Adams all of a sudden reversing his entire immigration policy. I mean, there are events that are happening, not just in this country, but worldwide, that are happening all of a sudden right after Donald Trump's election. It's just incredible to see, before the man even takes office, how authoritative he is, in that these people are just totally reversing course on their decisions.
Yeah. You brought up Justin Trudeau. This removing Justin Trudeau, if you were ever to say Donald Trump was playing 5D chess, right? I see that all the time, and I go, maybe 3D chess, right? 5D chess. The moves he made to get Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to step away was like a master class. I couldn't believe it. Do you think that that really came down to Donald Trump being irritated that they need hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies from America? Do you think he brought up an agitated area so he could push to the thing he really wants, which is maybe more energy trade or more minerals or something like that? Or do you think that there is a part of him that wanted Justin Trudeau removed because he was caught on a hot mic in 2019 bad-mouthing Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was very forgiving, but I bet you in his heart he was like, if I ever get a chance to kick this guy out of office for talking crap on me, I'm going to do it. What are your thoughts on all of that?
I think 1,000% that was I think I would call that part an added bonus for Donald Trump, especially when you see the truth posts on Truth Social that he wrote about Justin Trudeau. I mean, he's just totally ribbing the guy wherever he can, talking about, okay, well, maybe we'll make you the 51st state. Canada might be able to be the 51st state. We could arrange that. But I do think that, for all the people, and I'm with you. I don't think, they're like, it's 7D chess. I'm like, is it though? I don't know about that. But this move with the tariffs, announcing the tariffs on both Canada and Mexico, I do think that Donald Trump, he is a negotiator. He did, of course, write the art of the deal, and he's a damn good one. And I do think that there is a little bit of these tariffs being used as a negotiation tactic, which has largely been successful for him. And he hasn't even set foot in the office yet. So, you had Mexico and Canada both agreeing as soon as these tariffs were announced. He's like, hey, you need to secure the border on both ends. And if you don't, and if you keep allowing, all of this, the opioids and the fentanyl and all of this into my country, you're really going to pay for it through tariffs. And both countries seemingly immediately were like, all right, we're going to crack down on exactly what you say. So I do think that he is being very strategic when he talks about these tariffs. And I think that you can see that, the proof is in the pudding. You can see that just in these world leaders, reactions. But yeah, I do agree. I think that the Justin Trudeau, him not liking Justin Trudeau for the previous comments that was an added bonus, that he was able to get him to resign and then constantly poke him over it. But you see, even in Canada, I mean, I think that there is a shift happening in the entire world, that all of these places that have these liberal policies, Canada, the UK, all of these places who said, oh, we'll take in all of these illegals, we'll take in all these refugees, we don't have to vet them very hard, let's just bring them in. You have all of these liberal policies, all of these liberal countries who seemingly are shifting towards the right again. They're course correcting. In Canada, Justin Trudeau's approval numbers were terrible. His people hated him. He was getting constantly bombarded with his own people everywhere he went. They were calling him out. They were yelling at him. They might as well have been throwing tomatoes at him, because all of these people around the world are seeing for themselves that these liberal policies do not work. And so it's been very, very interesting to watch the United States lead the way in terms of these radical liberal policies, the gender identity, DEI, all of these crazy leftist policies. You're watching the United States very, very clearly state, we're done with this, we're moving on. And it looks like the rest of the world really wants to follow suit on that.
Yeah. Well, I know Trump is not a big fan of the World Economic Forum, and Justin Trudeau is a poster boy for the young leaders of the WEF, the World Economic Forum. One of my favorite stories of Trump is him sitting down with Justin Trudeau and saying, is there anything that I could do that would really hurt America? And Justin Trudeau's like, yeah, if you raise tariffs on us, it would completely cripple us. He's like, tariffs, boom, done. Like, you just gave me the exact formula for how to destroy your country. Like, it would be like, Iran, if I were to do something to you, what would it be? Oh, well, if you bombed this one city on this one block, it would really mess everything up. Okay, boom, bombs. So, I mean, he just walked right into a trap. Governor Trudeau walked right into that trap.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, he has no one to blame but himself on that one for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure you've been covering this. I've been watching it. Not one of Trump's nominees seems rattled or thrown off by the ridiculous questioning of Democrat senators. I actually feel bad for some of them. Their questions were so stupid and not really thought through. But which of Trump's cabinet picks do you think is viewed as the most dangerous for the deep state and the Democrats in DC?
Gosh, that's a tough one. I'll tell you that I know he hasn't gotten there yet. He hasn't had his hearing yet. But I think Kash Patel is the one that they fear the most, because he is, of course, going to dismantle the FBI and, the DOJ. I mean, the ones that are really affecting the everyday American citizen in such a way that, you have them labeling parents speaking out at school board meetings as domestic terrorists, right? You have them going after Catholics. You have them showing up and raiding pro-life protesters' homes while their young children are terrorized and traumatized by this over, a minor infraction. I mean, you've got really, really disgusting things going on that they have been really weaponized against half the country for 4 whole years. And so I think that he is going to be the biggest threat to them long term. And I think that they know that. And I think that's why you're seeing reports of record number of FBI agents who are going to resign, DOJ, employees who are going to resign once Donald Trump gets elected. Great. Again, if you want to self-deport, that's fine too, because you're just going to get fired if you are, of course, a deep state bureaucrat. So I think that he is the most dangerous to the Democrats in the deep state. But I will say, for the ones who were up this week, I do think that they are very, very scared of Pete Hegseth. I'm not sure why, because you would think that we could all agree that having the strongest, most accomplished, most ready military, ready for any sort of threat, you would think that we could all agree that that would be the whole entire point of this thing. But they can't handle it. And so, they want to say, oh, he has Nazi tattoos when it's clearly not. It's a Christian tattoo. They will come up with all sorts of lies and rumors about Pete Hegseth, throw his name through the mud. You watch them do it. I'm sure you saw. You watch them, talk about his prior marriages. And they dragged him through the mud, and he was not rattled. To your point, he was perfectly poised. He had an answer for every single question that they asked. And it was really, really fascinating to watch them try to take this guy down. He clearly was really prepared. So I think for the ones that went through this week, I would say Pete Hegseth is the one that they were clearly most terrified of, because they gave him such a hard time. But Kash Patel, I think, is really going to be dangerous to the left, which, hey, don't threaten me with a good time. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I just can't help if some of these senators are maybe coached on getting sound bites. Like,
For sure.
so do you think you're qualified with that racist tattoo? Like what? What? You assume it's a racist tattoo? You don't like? Do you even know what it looks like? Because if
Right.
not, I can give you the Jimmy Carter funeral, flyer, or in the rotunda on the floor is the same design. But yeah, I do agree. I think Kash Patel is the one they worry about most because of things he's been saying over the last 4 years. But as for this week, I think a lot of them were pretty rattled by Pam Bondi because they see how effective Merrick Garland was with lawfare. And they go, oh man, if they're even a tenth as good as he was, we're in trouble because we actually have crimes where they were trying to invent crimes, and they see her as like, a cute little lapdog for Donald Trump, even though she is a pit bull that stands on her own. I just, from my own perspective watching, I was like, I think a lot of these people are very nervous about Pam Bondi.
Yeah, that's a great point. I totally agree with you. They are nervous about it. And that reminded me, who was it? Dick Durbin. Someone asked her, basically alluded to, you do realize that you are not to use the Attorney General's office to, like attack the other side. You do realize that you're not supposed to wage lawfare against, Democrats. And it's like, hello, do you know what you guys have been doing for the last 4 years? Look around, read the room, right? Like you guys raided Mar-a-Lago. I mean, we could go on and on about the way that they weaponized all of these government agencies. And so to listen to them act as if, oh, we've never seen the Democrats do this before, but those mean, nasty Republicans are definitely going to come in here and start abusing the system and abusing the power. And to your point, it's like, well, we're just going to go after the real criminals. And if those real criminals happen to be you, that sounds like a personal problem to me.
Yeah, yeah. Like they didn't have a problem going after one of their own, Bob Menendez, bars of gold, Bob. Like you couldn't look the other way. That's the thing, is like Pam Bondi, she can't not look if there's crimes. Like it's literally her job. And just because you committed them, but another one that I'm a couple that I'm excited about. So Kash Patel for the FBI, John Ratcliffe. I think he's an underdog that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, but I think he might be one of the more brilliant of all of them. He's going to head up the CIA, and then Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI over all of those. I mean, John Ratcliffe believed that there were shenanigans in the 2020 election, but the 17 national intelligence agencies that report to him, almost all of them reported after January 6th their findings. And so anyway, I think he knows a lot more of what's going on. But now you have, imagine these meetings, John Ratcliffe, Kash Patel having private meetings with Tulsi Gabbard. It's like Chuck Schumer said, oh, these intelligence agencies, they can get you 7 ways from Sunday. Well, now it's time to clean house. We don't want them. Like in the olden days, you would shoot out of your wagon. The Democrats have been shooting into the wagon. And, now it's time to redirect these people to protect America and not to go after Americans. Like you said, parents are now terrorists. Catholics are terrorists. Are you kidding me? Like some of the stuff that they spent time on, grandmas that walked in next to a velvet rope on the Capitol are suddenly a higher priority than terrorists. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, and just to add insult to injury, just to highlight how egregious that is, we just talked about the border. We have terrorists walking into our country across the border. We have actual terrorists, right? Coming across the border into our country. And instead of trying to deal with that and stop that, these people have not only made it worse on that regard, but then tried to target, white men who wear MAGA hats. I mean, it's just been disgraceful what they have done and turned all of these bureaucracies into. And I can't wait to see the overturning of all of that. Now, I will say too, I'm not sure that I think you may need more like 8 years to really make a dent, right? Like whoever, if it's JD or whoever wants to carry the torch there, I don't expect that Donald Trump would even have the ability to fully and totally reverse it and get it totally clean in 4 years because of all the rot. But we can make giant, giant headway, with the right people in charge. And I think that he has that in those leaders that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an opportunity to take back the country for at least 12 years. JD Vance, I think he's going to be mentored on a level none of us will understand by Donald Trump. On his own, he's brilliant. On his own, he's bold. On his own, he's articulate. And his name's only going to become more well-known. I think imagine him teaming up with like Byron Donalds or Vivek Ramaswamy or somebody. Speaking of them, did you see that Vivek and Byron Donalds both say that they want to run for governor of Ohio and also for Florida?
No, I didn't. I had seen Byron Donalds. I didn't see the news about Vivek. Wow, that's interesting.
Well, so Trump was trying to get Vivek in to take JD Vance's spot because he's going to be the vice president. And I guess Mike DeWine got agitated and said, I'm just going to pick my own person. And so Vivek was like, actually, I wanted your job anyway, so I'm coming for your job. So he'll be announcing that he's going to run for the governor of Ohio. Now, in the past, you couldn't become president of the United States without Florida and Ohio. I know some of that has changed, but these states, they're just going redder and redder and redder. I think the future is really bright.
I agree. Well, I mean, there is the saying that, you have to hit rock bottom before you really understand and want to change. And I think America just did that for 4 years. We did that for 3.5, before we voted. And America finally said it had to get as bad as it did. We had to argue about whether or not we thought that we should be, lopping healthy body parts off of children. We had to get to where we had record amounts of, totally unvetted strangers in this country. We had to fall pretty far, but I'm okay with the comeback. As they say, the comeback will be stronger than the setback, and I expect that will be the case here as well. And I'm just really excited about it.
Yeah, I am too. I don't know if you remember this, but before the Russia story really got legs, there were people like Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper and others. They were like lauding Trump, applauding him. I've never seen a president move like this in the first 100 days. And then all of a sudden, it was like overnight, they flipped a switch and he became Hitler. And I don't know. Anyway, my point is, do you think he'll accomplish more in these 100 days than his first 100 days last time?
Yes, I do. He has a clear vision. He's been there before, so he knows the process. So there's not any of those hurdles. And I think that he has had a lot of time and has faced a lot of retribution, and his eyes are open. His head is clear, and he is ready to take this on. I mean, you're looking at a man who has had to withstand, again, his home being raided, his wife's drawers being gone through, his then minor child's room being ransacked by the FBI over something that they obviously was minor, because it was minor when they went through it with Joe Biden. You have him being, 91 indictments, 36 felony counts, all over bogus BS charges. He is now going to be labeled they had to keep the convicted felon term, right? No actual punishment, but you are going to be a convicted felon, so we can always call you that. I mean, the things that this man has gone through, 2 assassination attempts, got shot in the head. He has a very clear vision of what needs to be done and exactly what he is up against. And I believe that he has had the time and, to reflect the reflection, to know exactly what he wants to do. You hear it when he talks about all of these things that he's going to do on day one, like pardon, the nonviolent January 6ers. The list of things that he has said that he's going to do on day one, I fully believe that they already have everything drafted and ready to go. And he is going to be ready to hit the ground running, because he knows from his first term, he knows the process, he knows the red tape, he knows like the minor minutia that you don't know until you actually get into the office. He knows that from the last presidency. But what he also knows is this: the time that you think you have always goes by much quicker than you think. And so when we could potentially be looking at, you've actually got 2 years because we've got midterms coming up and we don't know what the midterms are going to be like. So let's look at this as if you have 2 years rather than 4, and we'll hope for 4, but let's aim for 2 so that we can get as much done as possible. I fully believe that he knows from the past what to expect, and he has seen what they have done to him, and he has a very, very clear vision. I think it happened after the first assassination attempt. I think that he was changed that day, and I fully believe that he knows exactly what he's going to do, and he's ready to do it day one.
Yeah, I've just like you, I've covered him long enough. I saw a change in him as a human being after the assassination attempt. How could you not? The one thing I'm so grateful that didn't change was his commitment and his courage. Those seemed to like quadruple, and everything else he was like, well, maybe I should try to attract some bees with honey and less vinegar. And, like he's been a different person. To this day, I still want to know, what did they think they were going to find in Melania's underwear drawer? I mean, to me, that just seems like, yeah, while we're in here, there's no cameras. Why don't we go ahead and just raid the underwear? It's such a weird part of the story. Did they think that they were like, oh, well, he sold our government secrets and they probably wrote him a receipt. You know where he's hiding that? His wife's underwear drawer. Like, why would they need to look in the underwear drawer?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, which is why the only intention that I can come up with is that the punishment is the process, right? Now Donald Trump knows that the government hates him so much that they went through his wife's personal, intimate, underwear drawer, that they went into his minor child's room to go, just go snoop around and see what they could find, because they hold that much power. That's what they're thinking. They want to show him, we hold all the power and you have none. And the punishment has been the process throughout all of the lawfare against Donald Trump, not allowing him to campaign during the trial in New York. The judge said, no, you have to be in court every single day. You may not leave this courtroom. If we are here, you must be here too. That was part of the punishment. I mean, the entire process, the punishment was the process. And so I think that's the only conclusion I can come to as to why they went through her drawers. It was to embarrass him. It was to punish him. It was to, make them feel vulnerable. It was to prove to them that they had the power. Now, you see how that turned out for them, but they were so arrogant, I think, that they never thought for 1 second that it wouldn't turn out in their favor. And that's why they decided to do that.
Yeah. At the end of, I believe it's the book of Genesis, Joseph says, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. And the judges holding him in New York, him going down to that bodega after being in court for 10 hours, saying hi to people, talking to someone who had been attacked. There's little children yelling, we love you, Donald Trump. We love you. Like, that thing got millions and millions of views, more than probably a lot of his rallies. Like, everything they tried to do, it just went against them and made him more popular. The mugshot is now his presidential portrait. Just like everything they tried to do. It's been such an interesting couple of years as a journalist. And I'm just excited. I'm excited to cover the next 4 years and watch America be made great again. Sarah, if people want to watch your show online, where is the best place to do that?
Yes, they can go to, feel free to subscribe to Blaze if you would like, but you can also watch it for free on YouTube. It's youtube.com/@Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered. And there's no H in Sarah. It's just an unnecessary letter. You don't say Sarah. So it's Sarah Gonzalez with an S at the end, Unfiltered. And I'm, of course, all over social media, Sarah Gonzalez TX on X, on Instagram, Facebook. You can find me everywhere using that username.
All right. Well, the next time I see you, he will also be president of the United States. So I look forward to having you on the show again. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you. And let's make America great again.